7 a.m. I'm drinking coffee on my dock when the HOA president crosses my lawn. With a surveyor and two sheriff's deputies. Darlene doesn't knock. She thrusts a clipboard at me, screaming, "I have 48 hours to get off community lake access or we'll remove you." Her perfume hits me before her words do. Expensive aggressive, suffocating her Lexus idles in my driveway. Driver's door still open like she owns the place. The deputies look uncomfortable. Neighbors are filming from their porches. I take another sip, stay silent. Because inside my house is a 1947 deed, proving I don't just own this property. I own the entire lakebed. Every dock on Pine Brook Lake sits on land I control, including hers. She just started a war with the only person who can legally kick her off the water. Would you stay quiet or end it right there? Drop your move below watching from HOA. Prison or free land, tell me. 3 months before Darlene invaded my property, I was somebody else entirely. 45 years old, 22 years as a firefighter paramedic. The guy who pulls you out of burning cars and keeps your heart beating until the ear can take over. I took early retirement for one reason. My wife Lucia died 14 months ago. Cancer, the kind that moves fast and ignores all your bargaining. Our kids are grown sons with the Navy somewhere he can't name. Daughter's finishing grad school in Ohio. After Lucia passed, our suburban house became a mausoleum. Every room whispered her name. I sold it, took $340,000 cash, and bought this 1890s craftsman cottage on Pine Brook Lake in northern Wisconsin. Population 340 year-round. Maybe 600 in summer, 2.3 acres. 200 feet of private shoreline. Loons calling at dawn. Mist rolling off water, so still it looked like black glass. Moving day. I stood on that dock with gas station coffee tasting like burnt regret, and felt something besides grief for the first time in a year. The smell of wet cedar shingles. Cold breeze stinging my face. Screen door creaking behind me, begging for WD-40. I didn't care. It was perfect peace, lasted exactly 36 hours. Day 2, 7 a.m. I'm hauling boxes from the U-Haul when gravel crunches under tires. White Lexus SUV rolls into my driveway. Vanity plate Lake Ken, a woman emerges. Late 50s yoga-toned. Designer athleisure. Oversized sunglasses perched on her head like a tiara. She doesn't knock, doesn't introduce herself from a respectful distance. Just walks straight through my open garage, heels clicking concrete, and plants herself on my dock like she built it. Good morning, Darlene Pritchard. Pine Brook Estates HOA president. 11 years running, her voice could strip varnish off furniture. We need to discuss your dock permit. It's under review. You're currently violating community waterfront covenants. I'm holding a box of Lucia's dishes, china from our wedding. I'm not part of an HOA. She shoves a 19-page packet at me. Welcome, packet inside fees rules. Architectural Review Board requirements. Mandatory participation in the Lakefest Planning Committee. Sweetheart, everyone on Pine Brook Lake is part of Pine Brook Estates. Your ignorance doesn't create exemptions. First dues. Check by Friday, $450 monthly. Plus $200 for new owner processing cash or check. She turns heels, clicking back to her Lexus. Doesn't wait for questions. I stand there, packet in hand. Rage climbing my spine. This was supposed to be sanctuary. Lucia's last words, morphine, soft under those humming hospital lights. Find somewhere beautiful, Bennett. Promise me I promised I found it. Now some self-appointed dictator is telling me I'm trespassing on my own land. I call Gretchen, my real estate attorney, mid-60s, sharp enough to cut glass. Suffers zero fools did I buy into an HOA. Long pause, papers rustling. Not per your deed, forward that packet. Every page something stinks. I photograph all 19 pages. Send them, then sit on the dock, practice the breathing, 4 counts in, 4 hold, 4 out. Fire Academy basics, control the adrenaline. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzes. Gretchen, call me tonight. Don't sign anything, then a text from an unknown local number. This is Randy Kaczynski. Your neighbor 2 houses down saw Darlene leave your place. She did this to the last guy who owned Lakefront outside the HOA, forced him out in 8 months. Be careful she doesn't lose. I stare at that message, so this wasn't her first time. Darlene Pritchard had a system, a track record. She was a predator who'd done this before. She just didn't know she'd picked the wrong prey this time. I didn't know it yet, but Darlene had declared war on a man who'd spent 2 decades walking into burning buildings. She thought I'd run firefighters, don't run from fire. We walked straight into it. That night I called Gretchen. Your deed is spotless, she said. No HOA covenants, no restrictions, nothing requiring membership. Darlene's packet is fantasy. I asked if I should just ignore her. Legally, yes. Practically people like Darlene don't quit because they're wrong. They quit when they're destroyed. You need ammunition buried in public records. I'm pulling full chain of title tomorrow. Every transaction back to when this land was timber forest. I thanked her and tried sleeping. Didn't happen to, staring at ceiling planks, listening to the house creak, thinking about Randy's text. She doesn't lose week 1 became psychological warfare. Darlene started patrolling every morning in her pontoon. White fiberglass twin outboards. Probably cost more than my truck. She'd idle 50 feet from my dock, binoculars raised, photographing everything. The reek of gasoline exhaust would roll across the water, poisoning the clean pine smell I'd moved here for. I'd stand there with coffee waving like we were best friends. Her jaw would clench, she'd gun the throttles and leave. Wake slapping my piling small victories. Then the certified letter arrived, thick envelope law firm, return address, Hutchins and Marble attorneys at law. A cease and desist claiming my dock violated established community waterfront access agreements and demanding I halt all unauthorized lake usage. I Googled the firm didn't exist. The address was a Mailboxes Plus in Duluth. She was threatening me with fake lawyers. Next came the email blast to 47 HOA members, CCing me. It is with regret I inform you, our newest lakefront resident refuses to pay dues, submit plans, or honor community covenants. Legal counsel has been retained. We will protect our shared resources. Unity matters. Darlene Pritchard, President. I read it twice, felt heat crawling up my neck, then heard my doorbell. Opened it to an older couple. 70s flannel and cardigans. Nervous smiles, Randy Kaczynski. This is Deborah, we texted you. Can we come in? I made coffee. Real stuff, not the gas station punishment I've been drinking, and they sat at my kitchen table, looking like people about to confess something. Darlene destroyed the guy before you, Randy said quietly, veteran. Purple Heart, she harassed him 9 months. Fake violations made up fines. Lien threats he sold for 60% of value. Her brother-in-law's LLC bought it. Now it's an Airbnb printing money. Deborah's hands wrapped around her mug. 3 properties in 6 years. Same playbook every time. Why doesn't anyone fight back? I asked. They exchange that look married people share when the truth is ugly. She fined us $800 last year. Deborah said our mailbox post was weathered gray instead of approved forest green when we argued. She threatened a lien we paid. Randy added 8 of us want her gone, but she has the county zoning chair in her pocket. They golf Wednesdays and unlimited legal budget. We're retirees on fixed income. I asked what made them think I was different. Randy's smile was tired but genuine. You didn't pay, you didn't blink. And honestly, you've got the eyes of a man who's already lost the worst thing possible. That makes you dangerous. He was right. That afternoon, I drove 45 minutes to Ashland County Recorder's office, Phyllis elderly clerk. Cat-eye glasses, floral blouse, pulled microfiche and dusty files from 1947. Interesting property, she said. Lots of old timber baron history. I spent 4 hours in that fluorescent lit room, scrolling through records that smelled like old paper and government neglect. My deed traced to 1947 original owner Harlan Torvich, lumber magnate who owned 5,000 acres, including the entire lake. When he subdivided in the 50s, he sold land parcels but kept lakebed ownership separate. I remembered Gretchen once mentioning that water and mineral rights often stay with original owners, even when surface land sells. Some quirk of old property law most people forget exists. In 1989, Torvich's estate sold the lakebed to a private trust. That trust dissolved in 2018. Lakebed auctioned quietly. The buyer was listed as Lucia's Rest Holdings LLC. I stared at that name until the words blurred. That was my LLC. Gretchen had created it for estate planning after Lucia died, named it without asking because she knew I'd cry. I'd bought the house and the lakebed as a package deal. One line buried in 50 pages of legal description. I owned the lake bottom, every dock on Pine Brook. All 47 of them, including Darlene's. Sat on my property, I walked outside into golden, late afternoon light, hands trembling, and called Gretchen. I need a marine surveyor, she asked why. Because I own the lakebed. Every dock here is on my land. Long silence, then "Oh, Bennett." She's going to lose her mind. I smiled for the first time in days. Good, the marine surveyor cost $800 and showed up 3 days later in a boat that looked like it belonged to the Coast Guard. Carl was late 60s, face like weathered leather, 40 years mapping lake bottoms across Wisconsin. We spent 6 hours on the water while his sonar pinged away. GPS units, blinking equipment humming. You weren't kidding, he said, finally showing me the digital map on his waterproof tablet. You own from 10 feet offshore to dead center. Every dock, boat lift, swim platform, all on your property, including that floating mansion over there. He pointed at Darlene's setup. Composite decking with built-in benches, motorized lift LED lights. Probably cost 40 grand, especially that one. I said. Carl grinned. This is going to be fun, isn't it? I paid cash, got the certified survey, and spent that evening on my dock watching sunset turn the water orange and gold. The loons were calling sound like lonely ghosts. I called Gretchen. What can I actually do with this? She didn't hesitate. Legally revoke every easement. Tomorrow they're trespassing. Practically you'll be the most hated man in Wisconsin. I explained I only wanted to target Darlene and her cronies. Protect the good people you'd need. Documented cause harassment. Bad faith threats. Build the file first. Then act week 3. Darlene brought the hammer down. She filed a complaint with county zoning, claiming my dock was an unpermitted structure, violating setback requirements and environmental standards. Pure fiction. My dock was 70 years old. Grandfathered under every regulation ever written. But filing triggered an automatic investigation, which meant I'd spend time and money defending against ghosts. Then came the invoice certified mail. Official letterhead she'd probably designed herself, demanding $1,850 for back dues, late fees, and special assessment for legal defense fund. Threatened lien placement in 10 days. I was actually laughing when Gretchen called. You got the zoning complaint? I told her yes. Also the fake invoice. Perfect. She's building your harassment case for you. Keep everything that night. Darlene sent the email I'd been waiting for. Emergency HOA meeting, mandatory attendance. Urgent violations threatening property values. I debated staying home just to irritate her. Then decided I wanted a front row seat to whatever theater she was planning. The community center smelled like burnt coffee somebody forgot about 3 hours ago, and that industrial floor cleaner that stings your nose. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like insects trying to escape. 40-something people squeezed into folding chairs that groaned under weight. Darlene stood at the front with a projector setup that must have cost more than the building's annual budget. Laptop, wireless, clicker screen, the works. She wore a blazer and statement necklace, pacing like a prosecutor about to demand the death penalty. Her perfume arrived 5 seconds before she did, heavy jasmine that made my sinuses scream. I took a seat in the back corner. She spotted me immediately. Her face did something interesting: surprise, rage, then forced smile. The smile was worse. Thank you for coming, she began, voice loud enough to reach the cheap seats. We face an existential threat to our community. Click. My property appeared on screen. Photographed from her pontoon. Our newest resident refuses basic compliance. Click. My wildflower lawn, native plants. Lucia had researched for months before she got too sick to garden. Vegetation exceeds permitted height by 4 inches. Click. My dock. Perfectly legal, unauthorized structure encroaching community waters. Click. My truck in the driveway. Commercial vehicle in residential zone. It was a F-250, half the room drove trucks bigger than mine. An older woman in the 3rd row actually laughed, tried to cover it with a cough. Darlene powered through. I proposed progressive fines. $100 per day per violation until compliance. The room went silent. Someone in front cleared his throat. Darlene. She cut him off like a blade. Excessive is allowing property values to collapse because one person thinks rules don't apply. She called the vote. 32 hands went up. 15 abstained. You could see fear on their faces. People avoiding eye contact. Nobody voted. No, not one person. I stood, every head swiveled. Quick question. What's your legal basis for finding someone who's not in your HOA? Her smile could have frozen the lake in July. You live on Pine Brook. That makes you subject to Pine Brook Estates covenants, whether you acknowledge them or not. I nodded slow, like I was seriously considering her logic, huh? I'll mention that to my attorney. She'll find it fascinating. Then I walked out while the room erupted behind me. Randy and Deborah caught me in the parking lot, gravel crunching under their shoes, along with a 3rd person, older black man, barrel-chested eyes that had seen some things. Tobias Whitmore, Toby. His handshake could crush walnuts. 40 years on this lake, she pulled similar garbage on me. A 19 claimed my dock violated some imaginary setback. I lawyered up. She vanished. But she's meaner now. He looked at me carefully. You're not scared. I shook my head. Spent 22 years walking into fires. She doesn't even raise my pulse. Toby's grin split his face. Then maybe you're what we need. 8 of us ready to fight you in. I thought about Lucia about what? Somewhere beautiful, actually. Meant, yeah. I'm in Saturday evening. We held what Toby dubbed dock court. 8 people squeezed onto my dock with paper plates and rebellion. Randy and Deborah brought potato salad. Then Lynn and David, software engineers with 2 kids, currently hunting frogs in the shallows, brought spring rolls and craft beer from Ashland, Misses. Halverson arrived with a Tupperware of cookies that smelled like my grandmother's kitchen. Paulette, retired teacher, brought nothing but stories. Marcus, who ran the bait shop, brought evidence 2 years of violation notices from Darlene, claiming his hand-painted sign was commercial blight. I grilled bratwurst while they downloaded their pain. Darlene had rejected the Anguian solar panels, calling them ethnic visual clutter. In the actual denial letter, Mrs. Halverson got fined because her dock had weathered to unapproved gray. Every story followed the same template. Find the rule, weaponize it. Extract money or compliance. I spread Carl's survey map between beer bottles and brat grease. See this, I own the lake bed. Every dock here sits on my property. Silence dropped like a stage curtain. Then Randy started laughing so hard he had to set down his beer. You own the lake, Toby. Trace the boundary lines with one thick finger. Every single dock is on your land. I nodded. The 1953 covenant says, easements are revocable if homeowners harass the lake bed owner. Darlene's been harassing me since hour 1. Lynn Nguyen looked at her husband. Then back at me, you could ban her from the water. The word hung there like summer lightning could. The question was, should Mrs. Halverson's hand found mine, fingers like dry twigs, grip surprisingly strong. My husband built our dock in '73, taught 3 kids to swim there. My grandson caught his first base off those boards last summer. Her voice fractured, I thought, when I died. Darlene would steal it from my family. Some made up fine. I couldn't fight. I squeezed back gently. You'll never lose it. I'm drafting permanent easements free. Recorded yours forever, no fees. No, Darlene, just protection. Paulette wiped her eyes. Marcus cleared his throat hard. The moment felt too big for my dock. Sun melting into the water. Everything gold and purple. Kids laughing in the shallows. The smell of charcoal and hope mixing together. Toby raised his bottle to Bennett and to Darlene's really bad Monday. Monday arrived right on schedule. 5:08 a.m. mist, still thick on the water. I'm on my porch with coffee, when a black Mercedes with Minneapolis plates rolled up like a shark in a koi pond. The guy who got out wore a suit that cost more than my boat, watch flashing in early light, hair slicked like an '80s villain. He climbed my steps without invitation, invaded my space like he'd bought it already. Garrett Finch, Darlene's brother-in-law. We should talk. His smile belonged in a dentistry horror film. I stayed seated, coffee in hand, talk. He showed me his phone, $500,000 cash, 20% over your purchase price. Closing 30 days, walk away clean. Everyone's happy. I let him stand there holding that number like it meant something. Pass? The smile stayed, but his eyes went reptile cold. You're making a serious mistake, friend. Darlene has the county supervisor on speed dial. Zoning chair, they golf Wednesdays. Township board, half of them owe her favors. This can go smooth or it can go bad. Your call. I set my mug down slow. 22 years of dealing with bullies who think volume equals authority. I'll take bad as mass cracked. We've cleared 3 properties already. Bought them for 50 cents on the dollar. After we made the owners' lives unlivable, you think you're special. I stood open my door. Meeting's done. Get off my property before I call the sheriff and explain how. You just confessed to harassment and coercion. Oh, and I recorded this whole conversation. His face went through 4 emotions in 2 seconds: shock, rage, calculation, retreat. He walked to his Mercedes stiff-legged, turned at the door. That was your last dignified exit. I smiled. Good thing I stopped caring about dignity when my wife died. Now I just care about winning. Gravel spit from his tires as he left. I called Gretchen before his dust settled. Darlene sent her enforcer threats. Buyout offer, confession to prior harassment. Got it all on my phone. She made a sound like Christmas morning. Oh, Bennett. She's panicking. People don't negotiate when they think they can win. I laid out the planned permanent easements for allies. 30-day revocations for Darlene's crew. How fast can you draft? She laughed. For this, I'll work till dawn. Most fun I've had since the Morrison divorce in 0. But that afternoon, I went door to door with manila folders, introducing myself properly, this time explaining what I could offer. Most people cried. Some thought it was a scam until they read the documents. An old Marine with a Purple Heart on his wall shook my hand so hard it hurt. Darlene said I'd lose my dock when the new fees hit. I was going to sell the house my daughter was born in. He signed there on his kitchen table, and I watched decades of fear slide off him. By sunset, I'd visited 30 houses, got 28 signatures, and felt like maybe Lucia had been right. Beautiful places are worth protecting, even if you have to fight for them. Tuesday morning, I finally faced the boxes I'd been avoiding for 14 months. Lucia's estate papers shoved in my closet where grief hides from daylight. Old tax returns, medical bills with amounts that still made me nauseous. Sympathy cards I couldn't read without my throat closing. Then I found a folder I didn't remember packing. Thick manila corners, soft from handling Lucia's handwriting on the tab in purple ink. She always used Pine Brook Research LHS project. My hand stopped working for a second. She'd been here in spirit, researching this place probably during those long chemo afternoons, when exhaustion was the only thing stronger than hope. I opened it careful, like it might disintegrate inside. Smelled like her that lotion she used. Faint lavender still clinging to paper after a year. Photocopies of 1950 subdivision plots. Letters between Harlan Torvik and original buyers. Newspaper clippings about lumber barons. And one document that made my heart kick. 20 pages, paper gone yellow-brown. Dated April 1953, covenant regarding lakebed rights and dock easements. Signed by 12 original homeowners in fountain pen, signatures looping and formal, like people used to write. I sat on my bedroom floor and read the covenant.